All right, family. We back again with another powerful presentation. We're gonna be talking about why Pharaoh of the Bible should have never allowed the Israelites to enter Egypt under the story of Joseph being kind-hearted. He being kind-hearted. The Israelites was out in the desert starving to death, and here it is this Pharaoh with a kind heart let them into Egypt, and they've been a menace to Egypt ever since. That was in the Bible. This is the reckoning of Egypt. Black power, we in the house, family. Why that the Egyptians should never have let the Israelites, they should have left them out there in the desert to starve. That's what they should have did. And that's in hindsight. That's in hindsight. But that the Egyptians should have left the Israelites out there in the desert to starve. Abraham came into Egypt. He was the first one to come in starving. You see, but do you the first place that when they starving and they need help, they run to is Egypt. Do you notice that? Is Egypt. You know, Abraham, Jesus, all of them, they run right on into Africa, and we feed them. We give them bread and water, and then so long, we got plagues. God want to plague us, and we know that this is fairy tale, but we should learn a lesson from, the book is giving us hints on where we went wrong. We let the wrong people into our house. That's where we went wrong. The so-called Israelite nothing but goat herders, ain't nothing but thieves. Alibaba and the 40 thieves. They was looking to get in there and see where our treasures was. That's all they was looking for. You understand what I'm saying? They out there with them sheeps and them goats. They didn't have the pleasure and luxuries of life that Africans had. We was right there in the night. I'm gonna talk about in another video the diet that they had. The diet that they had when they was in Egypt. Far better than any other time when they were in the book. You see, they was eating good when they was in Egypt. And they sit up here talking about they was out there eating sand mites. You see, they was out there eating sand mites and cactus sandwiches and shit out there in the middle of the desert. And then they come into Egypt, they eating better than they ever ate in all their existence. And so we fed them and they turned on us. That's exactly what happened. They turned on us. We talking about when Joseph asked Pharaoh to let Jacob and his sons in there. They ain't nothing but crooks. Yeah, they know they ain't nothing but crooks, and so but let them in there. And what happened then? Then after a while, you know, the 10 plagues of Egypt and all these chapters and prophecies and verses, speaking about the downfall of ancient Egypt, the downfall of ancient Kush, that the people would be carried off into slavery and things of that nature. And so this comes behind, allowing these peoples in it. And you can look at Africa now. You can look at Africa now, the predicament that is in, overran in the north, being overran, allowing, see, you can't let these vagabonds get in your house. Because what they do, they play stupid. They're gonna play stupid for a minute until they see the locations of your treasure. That's all they looking for. They looking for the locations of your treasures. and they're gonna smile, and talk, how they talk, boss, and call you, "What's up, boss?" All that boss, and yeah, yeah, and yeah, out there eating, you say hamburger. Yeah, that's what they was eating. Yeah, out there eating hamburgers and sand juice. You see, they didn't have water. They was out there eating camel juice and shit. You know what I'm saying? They wasn't eating until they got into Egypt, and their whole diet was like, they was at the buffet. You know what I'm saying? They was at the buffet in Egypt. You see what I'm saying? Yeah, 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 yeah. They was eating. They was at the buffet and eating. The book would have ended in Exodus. Black Power, family. I appreciate you, family. Yes, indeed. Let me put you up there. Yes, indeed. Let me put you up there. Bingo. Appreciate the family. Appreciate the family. Yeah, nada. Yeah. Yeah, we in the house, Black Power. Yeah, we on top of it, but this has got to be taught. This is not just for, this is something that I always, I felt about the Bible. They always talk about what went wrong in Egypt, but they never talk about when we fed them. They never talk about when we could have just shut the door and let them, and let them die out there in the desert. But the kindness of our heart, we open the door, and because we got more than enough to feed people, and so we're not that type of people. Check my mic sound nice. How my mic sound? Give me some feedback, Ray. Sound good? Give me a thumbs up out there. Let me know. Okay, it sound good. All right, good. Yeah, so yeah, we got to learn our lesson from this. We got to learn our lesson from this, and after we feed them and give them refuge, we still let them in. They talk about the downfall, and Jesus fled. How many of them fled? And Abraham fled to Egypt. Then here comes Joseph, and his wicked family. Sold him off into slavery. Sold him into slavery. Their own brother sold him into slavery, and then he still got a heart for him. And he asked Pharaoh to let him, and Pharaoh gave him land and everything. He didn't have to do that. He didn't have to do that. He, in hindsight, he should not have gave them land because they turned out to be a parasite on Africa. But the story in essence is true. It's not, the story in essence is true. You see that there was some you know, where they, when you got work for people that you don't want to do. You see, you got work for people that you don't want to do. And you let them do that work. And but at the same time, when they in there, they a double age. They doing the work, but they also scoping out the scene. So that part of it is true. You see, the story or the characters may not be true, but the premise of the story is true. You see that see, the thing is they played their role until they fathers and they uncles and they brothers and their cousins got ready to conquer Egypt. And then when they family from out there in that desert came in to conquer Egypt, and them standing with Africa and Egypt to repel the conquerors, they joined in. They became a fifth column inside of Egypt. And that's what happened. They became a fifth column inside of Egypt. A Trojan War. They play the role. That's what they're gonna do. They're gonna play the role. You understand what I'm saying? As soon as you sleep, they all in your dresser drawers, and you understand? They all in your dresser drawers. They watching you. How you turn your safe. Your combination. They pretend like how they do, like they clean in the mirror and dusting, and you ain't looking. Yeah, looking numbers to the nation, and this is what they do. And then when they come in, when they uncles and they brothers and all of them come in to conquer Egypt, they go right. Oh, we got combinations. You understand what I'm saying? Oh yeah, they keep it in over. Yeah, over there. Yeah, they got all kind of treasure over there. They in there pointing out where the locations is at. You know, then they're pointing out where the locations is at, and so that's what happens when you allow vagabond. We should learn. It's too late for the ancient civilizations, but in hindsight, it's still going on right now to this day. It's not good. That's all right. What I'm gonna do, but anyway, we're gonna finish this one, and I'm gonna double check the computer. Yeah, we're gonna double check the computer, and I'll be right back. I appreciate y'all being in the house, family. Arm yourself with knowledge. Get over there. Keep going in and out. Okay, we'll get it together. Arm yourself with knowledge. Bang on the wicked beast daily. Liberation through African education. Confrontation. Boom. Black power.